Close your eyes for a moment. Go ahead. You've been staring at the computer screen for much too long already. Go ahead. Close your eyes. This is an exercise, by the way, that I would never try on a Friday night, for fear that after long days of work and looming promise of Shabbat rest, you might fall asleep on me. But in the light of morning, let's give this a try. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the following scene. 600,000 Jews are encamped at the foot of Mount Sinai. Smoke swirls about the volcanic peak. An air of awe and wonder permeates the place. One after another, the children of Israel come forward bearing gifts for their God. The Midrash tells us they brought earrings of gold and bracelets of silver and brilliant jewels. For their leaders, they brought tunics of fine cloth and embroidery. One by one, they step forward to bring their gifts until the line stretches out to the horizon. All this for Moses' single, simple request. Take from among you gifts. Everyone whose heart is moved shall bring them. Gifts for Adonai, gold, silver, and copper. The bringing of voluntary gifts to build the tabernacle, a sacred place of assembly in the wilderness, is the central theme of this week's double portion Vayakel Pekudei. Okay, now you can open your eyes. I hope you kept them quiet. But keep clearly before your eyes this beautiful image, a community working together to build something greater than themselves. It's a binding image, an image of our first task together in the making of our common faith. It's a wondrous thing, what we can build together in common cause, in common faith. Together, there is quite literally nothing we cannot overcome. This is the very last portion of the book of Exodus, and as we complete it, there's a custom to say these words, Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. In fact, we say these words as we complete each of the 5 books of the Torah. And if you're waiting for me to translate them, well, there's a story there to tell as well. Usually, these words are simply understood as, congratulations, mazel tov, you finished the book. But they actually have a more profound meaning than just that. Literally, Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek can be translated to mean either be strong, and we shall be encouraged, or be strong, and we'll make an effort. Either way, it's sort of a pep talk as we finish one book and start on the journey to complete the next. Be strong, don't worry, we'll get there. But here's the thing, we never actually get there. If by there we mean reaching the Torah's end, we never actually get to the end of the reading of the Torah. We just keep reading book after book, saying Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek at the end of every book, and then we start again. And when we look at these endings more carefully, the endings of each of the books of the Torah, we find that they're not actually endings at all. With the end of each book of the Torah, we're at the same time beginning the next saga in the story of the Jewish people. Genesis, for instance, concludes with the death of Joseph. But Joseph's death marks the beginning of our slavery and the story of Exodus from Egypt. Exodus ends here in our Torah portion as we complete the building of the tabernacle, a moment which marks the beginning of the sacrificial system, which occupies the entire next book of the Torah, Leviticus. Leviticus and Numbers end with laws of tithing, which will have to wait until the children of Israel will conquer the land before any of their harvest can be brought in for a tithe. And of course, Deuteronomy ends with the death of Moses, within sight of the promised land, but still needing to wait for Joshua to lead the people across the Jordan and on the next challenge and the next chapter of the story of our people. There's an important lesson to be learned from all these endings and beginnings. Within every ending is a call for us to begin again. Let me tell you a story from a long, long time ago. It was the year 70 CE. An old man sat amidst the smoke and ashes of a city which was once the shining symbol of God's reign upon the earth. But now it lay in ruins, its streets abandoned, desolate, as if the destruction had sapped all hope from the city. And yet there he sat, on the edge of this devastation, scraping through the ashes, struggling to plant a tree in arid soil. The walls of Jerusalem had been struck down. The temple of our God had been set in flames. And when it was over, The people had fled in fear. The Romans pounded salt into the earth so that nothing would ever grow in our holy city again. And yet here he sat, this ancient Jew, struggling in the desert sun to plant a tiny tree amidst the ash and the rubble of what was once a fruitful field. As he scraped at the earth with a broken piece of pottery, a Roman general passed by on horseback and stopped to wonder at the sight. He stared in disbelief, and then he broke out into a chorus of laughter. "Old man," he said, "you're a fool. You'll never see that tiny tree bear fruit." The old man looked up from his digging and he said, "I came not into a world of desolation. My parents planted trees, and their parents' parents before them. Just as I have eaten of the fruit of the generations who brought before me, so shall my children and my children's children eat of the tree that I plant this day." The Roman general looked out upon the ruined city and then back to the sight of this old man planting a tree, seeds for a generation of his children who were yet to be born. He'd won the war, but he'd lost something greater. For having destroyed a city, he had discovered something indestructible within its walls. And today, Imperial Rome is just a memory, while the Jewish people lives on and on. The challenges that we face today are real, and they are daunting. So much of our lives seems to have stopped, been postponed, come to an end. But with each ending comes a call for a new beginning. If we can be strong, if we can strengthen one another. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek, and together we can heal this broken world. We can draw strength from our adversities, just as we as a people have done so for generations, just as we in our generation can do so just as well. May we draw strength from one another as we build a better future for our families, for our faith, and for our world. May we in our generation be reminded and remembered for the seeds that we bear and plant, despite the difficulties of these days, seeds of righteousness and of justice that will bear fruit for generations yet to come. Amen.